Happy draft week, everybody. This is the Orange and Black Insider Bengals podcast. I am Anthony Cosenza coming at you live with a special interview with a very special guest, part of our ongoing NFL draft coverage. We've got you covered from start to finish, and our special guest is Hall of Fame offensive tackle, former Cincinnati Bengals offensive tackle, Anthony Muñoz. Anthony, how you doing?
Great, Anthony. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. You doing okay through all this craziness in the societal landscape?
You know what? For the most part, yeah, things are going pretty well. Being here where we are with our place here, we got a little bit of land, so get a chance. I discovered trees blown down by the strong wind we had a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So I've gotten into chainsaw. I went and got me a chainsaw, doing some cutting of trees and helping our little guy that does a lot of the work around here. So I did that. And, of course, my wife and I, we kind of sneak out and drive around a little bit, get a little grandkid time now and then. We go down to we'll see our grandkids for a little bit. And I've been playing a little golf. So I played 18 yesterday. I've played in the last 2.5, 3 weeks. I've probably played a handful of times. So, you just you got to go with it and, hopefully it'll be over with and get back to normal as much as we can be normal. But, yeah, things are going pretty well.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm a little jealous on the golf front. I haven't been able to do that. So good to have you with us. Anthony Muñoz, Hall of Fame offensive tackle, joining us courtesy of New Era Caps. Go get your draft gear, your Bengals draft gear, how you can on a variety of different sites where New Era is available. Anthony Muñoz is joining us to talk not only about Bengals football, but about his great foundation. We'll hear about that and how you, the listeners and Bengals fans, can get involved and help out his foundation. So we'll hear more about that in a minute. But Anthony, let's start off with your thoughts on the current state of the Bengals. The last time you were on our program, Marvin Lewis was returning in 2018. It was kind of a tumultuous time, and they got off to that good start in 2018 and then fell apart. And then now, that's the second year of the Zach Taylor regime. A lot of upheaval in terms of the roster, some excitement because of free agency and the number 1 overall pick. How do you feel about the direction of the team right now as we sit here in April?
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned a couple of key components. I think the first one that was addressed, first of all, was the attack on the free agent market. I think, a lot of times the Bengals will go free agent, but people complain about where they spend the money, and a lot of times it doesn't pan out. But as I look at, really, it looks like almost an overhaul for a lot of at least the back two levels of the defense. With Mackenzie Alexander, and of course you've got Trey Waynes, and some Von Bell and Josh Vine. At least it looks pretty good. They've done a pretty good job with the teams they've been on. But I think the thing that impresses me is the playoff experience with these guys. So you're bringing in a load of guys that have a lot of playoff experience, and you got a couple guys that have been up in Minnesota with our old friend Zim. So they can tackle. That they're getting after it defensively, and then you got the big guy DJ Reader, who is only going to help. With Gino and guys that are getting a little up there in age, along with the younger guys. But and I think we have to talk offensive line. With Xavier Su'a-Filo coming in, he's got quite a few starts. Hopefully he's healthy. He's played with the Cowboys and the Texans. So I think that helps along that offensive line. But, with the number 1 pick, that adds another one. But, I look at it not only the free agency, but we're going to come into this year basically with two first-round picks. Jonah Williams, who didn't get any time last year, basically going to be a rookie, so he was our number 1 last year. And then I would imagine Joe Burrows will be our number 1 this year.
Yeah, Su'a-Filo is from the second best football program in Los Angeles, right, Anthony?
That's right. That has a school. I tell people, I say, why UCLA moved their home games to the Rose Bowl? That's the only way they could play in the Rose Bowl, to move their home games. That's just a joke. It's a joke.
All in good fun.
Exactly.
Good segue to my next question about the Bengals' current state of the offensive line. They seem to be more enamored with the state of the offensive line, who they have on the roster, including Jonah Williams and Bobby Hart at the tackle spots. I think most of us would like to see them attack both that spot and maybe even interior offensive line this coming weekend. How do you think the outlook is for Jonah Williams missing last year? And Bobby Hart played better towards the end of the year last year, but he has definitely struggled at times.
Well, so first of all, let's look at the left side. If Jonah Williams is healthy, and it appears it is, I saw him. Maybe I saw him on some video pushing a truck or something around in the parking lot. So it appears he's and the guy has some amazing work ethic as far as I know. So you have, again, he's a rookie. He's going to be a rookie, but they had inserted him as a number one left tackle last year before he got hurt. So if he can perform the way that they expected him to and expect him to, we'll be set there. Michael Jackson, here's a kid from Ohio State, big, long, athletic, and to me, it's all about development. If they can continue to develop him, next to Jonah, you got two young guys, but then you bring in a veteran, Xavier Su'a-Filo at the right guard. And to me, Trey Hopkins has been everything. I mean, he's been very consistent, but I still think you go after some interior guys, and then the right tackle has been for me, it's been a big question mark. Even prior to last year, you mentioned he played better at the end of the season, but I think that's a position that we really have to address, is that right tackle. So I think we have the making of a pretty good offensive line, young at a couple positions, but I think we can help ourselves through the draft.
Talking offensive line with a guy who knows a thing or two about it, Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz joining us on the Orange and Black Insider, courtesy of New Era Hats, talking some Bengals, some NFL draft, and we'll be talking about his foundation in just a minute here. Anthony, who are some of the tackles that intrigue you in this year's class to potentially upgrade at the right tackle spot, whether it's in 2020 or 21 and beyond? In particular, I think you may have some thoughts on Austin Jackson, the USC tackle, who comes in as an athletic kid with a lot of upside.
Well, it's interesting because he would be one that, if he could fall, hopefully late first round, early second. We got that first pick in the second round, so the fact that he was a left tackle shouldn't be any problem for him, moving to right tackle. So he's a kid that, at 6'5", 222, I think would make a good young right tackle. Of course, I don't know about some of those tackles we're looking at. I think we're about 5 deep in the top tier with, Wirfs from Iowa. You got Willis from Alabama, Thomas, who declared him the best of the bunch in an interview. So he should be, I guess, our number one guy because he said he was the best of the bunch. And then back then from just down the street of Louisville, who's 6'7", 364. And Josh Jones from Houston. So you got, it's deep in the offensive tackle. I don't know how those guys will slide down, if any of them will, last past that first round. But, again, we talked about not only because he's a USC guy, but Austin Jackson, I've watched play, and very athletic, good size. So he might be a guy, if he does slip out of the first round, that we might be able to get.
How much do you think, if Joe Burrow is the pick, how much do you think he is able to overcome, if the Bengals don't really address heavily with high picks or that sort of thing, the offensive line, do you think Joe Burrow is right away going to be able to overcome some of the potential shortcomings on the offensive line? Or is this just a thing that you think that the Bengals need to give him every single chance possible to succeed, and that starts with getting him offensive line help?
I think you can look at it this way, but I'm a firm believer, maybe it's because I got spoiled when I was playing. You have some pretty good players there. I think you have guys that have the ability to be pretty good offensive linemen, and if you can get one or two in the draft, fine. But I think, with the system, I think when you are faced with young guys that are developing, and hopefully they can, that's where the whole strategy in the system, you put your quarterback in a position to be successful. If you got a right tackle that is struggling, you're not going to leave them out there one-on-one the entire game against. You're going to help them everywhere you can, sliding the line, tight end late, chipping and stuff like that. So I think the system has to be one that's going to assist. But I think, and again, with Joe Mixon back there, the guy's a stud, and you got, hopefully AJ Green, so I think we have the pieces. I'm pretty optimistic, or maybe cautiously optimistic, that Joe Burrow has enough around him where it's not going to be, people say, well, it could be a David Klingler thing. No, I don't think so. I think the talent, with this offense is far much superior, better than what we had, or what Klingler was faced with when he got abused when he was here.
Anthony, the Bengals may be at a little bit of a crossroads with Joe Mixon just because of the landscape of that position group. And, he's in the final year of his rookie deal. Just kind of quick shoot from the hip, I guess, a little bit. What do you think the team should do? I mean, you mentioned the plethora of talent that they have at some of the skill positions, him being one of them. There's some conflicting opinions on whether or not you extend a running back after their rookie contract, you pay him big money, that sort of thing. Mixon has shown that he can be productive behind a subpar offensive line. Is this a guy that you think is a critical piece to keep long-term with Joe Burrow potentially being in the fold?
I think so. I think because not only can he run the football, but he's exhibited pretty good hands coming out of the backfield catching the football. So, I mean, from what I've seen, the enthusiasm that he brings, the hard work ethic, and that's going to be contagious. That's what you need with the team that is trying to get over that hump of the last 2 or 3 years of losing football games. Is you need a guy that's going to spark it. I think he's a guy that you have to really pay attention to, and hopefully, that's something they'll do, and then look at seriously keeping him.
Talking with Anthony Munoz, Hall of Fame offensive tackle, the greatest Cincinnati Bengal in team history. Talking NFL draft, talking Cincinnati Bengals and the state of their roster. Anthony, I told you a little bit before we took the air. We've actually had a handful. We've been blessed to have a handful of your former Super Bowl teammates on this program recently. Solomon Wilcots, Tim McGee, Ickey Woods, and we've kind of come up with a little theme for some of you to relay maybe a story that gives us a little peek behind the orange and black curtain, if you will. And if you have either a funny anecdote, whether it's your draft experience or maybe one of the late, great Sam Weish, Paul Brown, anything, I know we would love to hear it.
Well, I think the story that really got a lot of play, especially my second year, we went to the Super Bowl, and I had a chance, the head coach, when I got back, of course, I played 8 years for Sam, which, I love the guy, and, sad that we lost him. Just a phenomenal individual, and also a great football mind. For my first 4 years, my head coach was Forrest Gregg, who played for the great Vince Lombardi and the great Green Bay Packers teams. And, Vince Lombardi in his final book, you think about all the guys that he coached up there at the Packers, Bart Starr, Horning, Willie Davis, who we just lost here recently. But Bart Starr, Vince Lombardi said Forrest Gregg was the finest player he ever coached. So he was my head coach my first 4 years. And I knew all about him before I got here because he came out to work me out at SC. And I guess this would be the pre-draft story because I'd pretty much lost, being drafted by a lot of the experts, the pundits, because of just playing one game my senior year, having my third knee operation in 4 years. I just played in the Rose Bowl. People were saying, well, you'd be lucky to, be a free agent. And Forrest Gregg came out and put me through about an hour and a half, 2 hour workout because I had played in the Rose Bowl. And he wanted, they had the third pick in the draft, and he wanted to see if I could, still move and stuff. And towards the end of the workout, Forrest was still pretty intimidating as a head coach. He was about 40 years old, about 6'5", about 250. He had that southern drawl. He had that twitch when he got upset. So towards the end of he said, Anthony, I'm going to be a pass rusher, and I just want you to react. You have to understand, at SC, we had Hudson Houck as an offensive line coach, and we were on the cutting edge. We started using our hands and punching and using them there at SC when it really wasn't the thing that linemen were doing. So we just drilled and drilled. So we were punching and using our hands. I'll never forget Forrest Gregg lined up on the outside. He faked outside, came inside, and he said, just react. My reaction is he had his total chest exposed. I planted both of my fists or palms of my hand in his chest and just punched him. And the first thing that hit the ground was the back of his head. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I reached over and I'm like, Coach, I am so sorry. And he's laying there half dazed, and he looks up and he goes, that's all right, son. and I knew that was all good. And of course, a couple months later, they picked me with the third pick in the entire draft. But to me, I thought I was a done deal. I thought it was not going to be drafted by them because I knocked them on the ground. But I think that helped out with the workout he put me through. And, it wasn't just kind of I was sweating. I mean, it was an hour and a half, 2 hours. He was drilling me and putting me through stuff. And but that was the final. I still had enough energy to kind of lift both the palms and punch them and So that would be my my story, my pre-Bengals story before they actually drafted me. And then, of course, had a chance, like I said, played 4 years with Forrest, and then Sam was my second head coach, 8 years with Sam, and the guy was just phenomenal. I guess a quick story about Sam, his rookie year was the same year. We had a rookie left-hand, big blonde left-handed quarterback, and we're up in Cleveland. And Kenny Anderson was hurt, and that was the first week, one of the first weeks that Sam Weiss had put 2 extra linemen in and moved me and another lineman out to the tight end position. We had to report goal line short yardage, and we had a goal line formation that he called the We Be formation, because when we get in that formation, we be scoring. And, Sam was great with names and formations, him and Coslet, and I guess Boomer had a lot to do with it. But that was the first week that I was at a kind of an H-back, and I was a primary receiver on the pass play, believing that Sam would never call that play. Primary receiver was offensive lineman, myself. Well, we're up in Cleveland. We're down 17-10. We had first and goal at the 1 with 7 seconds, no timeout, and he calls that play. Rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, and they're going to throw to an offensive lineman to tie the game up. And I'm thinking, this guy does not want to coach in the NFL very long calling this play. And then my next thought was, I better catch it because I'll walk home from Cleveland if I don't. Of course, Boomer throws me the pass in ankle-deep mud end zone. I catch it. We tie it up, go into overtime, and Jim Breach wins it with 3, and we go home winners 20-17. That was kind of my first experience of Sam's, his grit, his guttiness, and just, his all out, let's get after it, no huddle offense, attack offense, and just what we did was so much fun, and that was led by Sam Weiss.
Yeah, Sam didn't really like to back down from anybody, and and that that
Cleveland Browns,
right, exactly, and that story with Forrest Gregg, obviously that. You kind of laugh about it, but that was probably a major impetus of you being selected by the team. And I would say it worked out pretty well for everybody. So
very thankful.
Yeah.
Very thankful to Paul Brown and the Brown
Right.
family.
Before you tell us about your foundation and how to get involved, I know we're going a little long, but we thank you for the time, Anthony. I'd be in trouble. My dad and my brother are major USC fans and big fans of yours. They followed your career through college and the pros. Quickly, what's your outlook on the Trojans this year? They had kind of a weird year last year with the injuries at quarterback and everything. You think they make a bounce back given the odd year last year and the inconsistencies with the recruiting classes?
It's interesting because I met a gentleman out when John Robinson was getting ready to go down to LSU, and we had a big party for him, go-away party, a bunch of the former players and alumni and stuff, and I met a guy there. So I reconnected with him, and he put me on the email chain, and I'm getting information that I've never gotten in my life about recruiting, about USC basketball, baseball. And, this the recruiting updates I get are like, if these kids are, what they should be that we're getting, I think things are starting to change with some of these. And I'm always the one that says, yeah, the head coach gets all the credit when they win and gets ripped when they lose, but a head coach is only as good as his assistants. And I'm one that thinks the assistants play a huge role. As I talked earlier about player development, with teams, and that's where the assistants got to develop. But they brought in some guys that are recruiting their tails off and getting guys, all these Southern California guys that they're getting and going out of state. So hopefully that's a sign of what's going to come here. So I did see that the young quarterback is in the transfer portal, and he said it might still be still back in it, but with Clovis there, it's kind of tough. But I don't know what to expect. I'm excited about these new assistant coaches and the way the players are talking about the new attitude. Maybe we get away from the no-hit November, which drives me nuts. Right. So I've been out there forever, and I am still one of the biggest Trojan fans. I go to 1 or 2 games a year. I still die with the Cardinal and gold. So I'm hoping that we can turn it around. And what was it, 3 years ago? My buddy, about 6 of us, went down to Dallas Stadium and watched the the USC Alabama opening game. Not real sure if I'm going to go to that, but I don't know. I might have to do it just to go down and see what's going on. But I feel, I love Clay Helton. Again, I'm excited about these new assistant coaches they brought in. and listening to this stuff going on in recruiting. I hope it's the real deal.
Well, let's hope so. And Anthony, you are here. We've talked a lot of Bengals, but you are here to talk about your foundation. The most important thing to talk about here is your foundation, which, by the way, the logo is cardinal and gold of the. We're streaming we're streaming the website on the live video cast, and for those who watch afterward, www.munozfoundation.org. I also put the web address in the chat feed. We'd like to hear how we can get involved. The Munoz Foundation has assisted over 40,000 youth in helping them achieve their educational goals and other opportunities. So, Anthony, I know nonprofit. This show has a big passion to help out nonprofits. I know it's an odd time for nonprofits for fundraising and events because of the COVID crisis. What do you have going on, and how can we help you out?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you putting the website, MunozFoundation.org. People can come on and help anyway. They can see all our programs. We do work here in the greater Cincinnati area, impacting youth mentally, physically, and spiritually. First of all, I got to give a shout out because I heard one of your sponsors, New Era, and we can't do what we do at the foundation without all our corporate partners. And I got to give a shout out to New Era because they are one of our many sponsors. In fact, every year we do several events where we need hats. I met Chris Cook, the owner of New Era, at a golf tournament half a dozen years ago, and he asked, "Is there anything we can do to help out?" And I said, "Well, I need some hats every year. Maybe if we can get a price break." Well, the guy donates 400 hats for our golf tournament, our coaches camp, our everything we do. And New Era has been amazing, helping us out the last half dozen years. So I'm going to give them a shout out, just like you gave them a shout out at the beginning of your show. But it's all about impacting young people. And we start out with elementary kids. We have mentoring program for young men and women that are in elementary school. Then we have overnight character camps for middle school young men. We teach them a little football there, but we're teaching them what it means to be a person of character, how to grow up with integrity and character, and how to work together as a team. We have a leadership seminar that we usually have anywhere from 80 to 100 high schools for a full day event. We bring in motivational leadership speakers. We have breakout sessions. We send them back to their school, and then they put together community service projects. We give out anywhere from 18 to 24 scholarships for seniors going to college. And the majority of the kids that we deal with are at need, but they excel over the top in everything they're doing. And they've gone through some amazing adversity, but that they are not stopped by that adversity. So, like you said, we probably deal with 25 to 3,000 kids a year. Next year, we'll be celebrating 20 years that we've been doing this, and this is a passion of mine. And a lot of it comes from, my upbringing there in Southern California. My mom raised 5 of us by herself, 2 older brothers, 2 younger sisters, working 2-3 jobs, never knew my dad, never will know my dad. My mom would work 2-3 jobs and provide for us, never had a car, and the support and love that we had from her and our relatives was really kind of, and teachers I met and coaches, it really inspired me to give back. So it's something that I love. And then right now with the COVID-19, it's kind of put a little roadblock, but I don't think it'll stop us. We've had this, reschedule. We're still giving out like 18 scholarships that we would have had a dinner. Actually, tomorrow would have been the luncheon that we would have given 18 scholarships. We're hoping that we can still do our summer dinner in golf, and we'll just take those 18 and present them with our other 4 to 10 that we give in the summer. And then we had to cancel late this week. We were going to have a 3-day camp with about 150 young men, but we'll have another one in the fall, and then this will give us the budget to do one more year. So, it's a canceling events, no rescheduling, but I think we'll still be able to have the impact that we've been able to have, and have 3 great full-time staff, a great board, and we have a lot of great corporate partners. I know this is tough, and I'll be interested to see when we bounce back from this how things are going to go.
Well, if there's anything we can do, like I said, I'm putting out the website on our program and on cincyjungle.com. If you're seeking donations, I'm sure Bengals fans would love to rally around that and help you out. Or if there's volunteer opportunities, whatever you need, definitely let us know. We want to promote that. We want to make sure that nonprofits are properly assisted during this different time in the world. So, and all the great work that you do for all these young kids is just fantastic. Can't say enough about all the great work you're doing through your foundation. Thank you so much for joining us, Anthony. I hope down the road, maybe, once you're getting going with the color analysis on the Bengals preseason TV or something like that, maybe you can rejoin us, update us on some of these things, and we can get back with you.
Well, I appreciate it, Anthony. Thank you for just giving me a chance to talk Bengals football and talk a little bit about the foundation. And that's the thing. This community here, Cincinnati, is home now. We fell in love with it. It's a great place. It's a very engaging community, a very giving back community. A lot of my former teammates are also very supportive, and we support each other. We've gotten a lot of the players that are playing now to help out coaches. So it's just one of those communities. It's a great place to live and to be an active member of the community. The way I look at it, I went from a 50 to 60 man team to a much bigger team now in the community. So it's great, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about this. And feel free anytime. Hopefully we do get a little preseason in and then all the regular season.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But definitely would love to reconnect with you down the road. And thank you so much. This has been an immense pleasure. There are a ton of comments in our live chat saying, Anthony, it was a pleasure watching you play. Greatest left tackle in NFL history. This is great to hear from you. So just echoing my sentiments. Thank you so much for the time. I know we went a little long, but greatly appreciated. Hooday and fight on.
Hooday. Please tell your brother and dad, fight on.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.
Take care.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Anthony Muñoz, greatest player in Bengals history, joining us on the program for the second time. Last time we had him on was quite a while, but Anthony Muñoz joins us courtesy of New Era Caps. You heard him plug New Era Caps as well. Apparently they are doing great stuff with his foundation. And go see how you can help the Anthony Muñoz Foundation, muñozfoundation.org, whether it's donating, seeing if you can volunteer, becoming a sponsor. I got to tell you, personally, I'm involved in some nonprofits, and this is an interesting time for nonprofits. They need help, and they need help in creative ways. Seeking donations and talking about donations for nonprofits when a lot of people are potentially out of work, whether that's temporarily or for a long period of time. I know that sounds a little but there are other people that are being helped, like these kids in the Muñoz Foundation, that still need this kind of help. So if you are able, please, please, please contribute to the Muñoz Foundation. Our thanks to Anthony Muñoz for joining the program. It was absolute pleasure. Poor guy, I said, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and we've gone, we had him for almost 25 or more. So great stuff from him. Appreciate his time. Appreciate all of you tuning in. This is just part of our draft coverage. It's a big part of it because it's Anthony Muñoz, but it's just part of our ongoing draft coverage on cincyjungle.com and on the Orange and Black Insider. Later on Monday, we'll be back as we will be joined by the Bengals linebacker Dhani Jones. He will be chatting with John Sheeran and I later, and we have our usual show on Wednesday, as well as some other shows for draft coverage throughout the weekend. Check those out. We'll also be doing, with all of the podcast hosts in the Cincy Jungle channel, on Tuesday evening, we'll be doing a little roundtable discussion, so you probably want to join that as well, 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday for that one. So check out all of that content. You can get all of our stuff on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Megaphone, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and cincyjungle.com. So get the program how you can. Join us live. Subscribe to the channel so you can join us live, like when you just heard Anthony join us live on the phone. Or you can download stuff after the fact and be notified when our material is out for you to view and or listen to. Again, our thanks to Anthony Muñoz, brought to us by New Era Hats. Go to muñozfoundation.org. See how you can help out. We thank him for his time. We thank you for yours. We'll see you in just a little bit.